Good morning, Westminster. I'm Ken Cook, and this is Carol Cook, my wife.
Morning.
Good morning, and our co-host is Boyd Taylor.
How you doing?
We're doing well. How are you doing, Boyd?
Oh, it's a beautiful day out.
It is. It is.
Although I never go out.
Yeah,
But they tell us it's a beautiful day out there.
That's what they say.
Right.
it's going to get better.
Well, it's Monday morning, time for a new week. And listen, I wanted to say that Name That Tune contest was a real big hit.
Oh, good. Thank you. We have some statistics here that we can give the people that are listening, that particularly the ones that entered would be interested to hear. Michelle Gallman was the big winner. She got 14 out of 16 titles,
How do you
right?
spell that? Gallman. Oh,
Yes, Gallman. And now two people had 11 out of 16. Bill Strong and Barbara Spain. There were no 12 and there was no 13. But anyway, I didn't write down any lower than that. But then we gave out, Chuck actually drew for the two gift certificates at the little store. And the winners there were Gail and Mike Roach from the Windsor building, and Mary Bowles from the Preston building. And I think this is kind of ironic. Mary had sent in her ballot and she named one song, I think. And she wrote on there, I'm really just sending this in because I told you I was going to watch it and listen to it. And she won a prize. So I don't know how she'll feel about that. Anyway, we had about 34 entries.
How many?
And
How many?
34, about 20 from the Preston, and no, more than that, and a fewer number from the Windsor. And we've run into a lot of people outside. Ken was just telling me he saw some that said they really enjoyed listening, but they didn't turn in a ballot. So I'm not sure how many listeners we had, but I hope that if we do it again, a lot of people will be interested. Now, what I have found very interesting in looking over all the entries is how many people guessed the same wrong guess on things. One of the hard ones was the next to last, when I only gave you about 6 notes that I thought were iconic introduction to the song. The song was Close to You. You might think of Burt Bacharach or the Carpenters recorded that. And at least 5 people put Raindrops Keep Falling on Your Head. And I hadn't even thought of that, but now that I'm trying to remember that intro, it was very, very similar. So these people might be a little disgruntled by that. And 4 people put New York, New York. So you can see how closely a few notes can be misinterpreted. The only other one that nobody got, this was only one number that nobody got, the number 7, and the name of the song was South. Just simply South. Nobody got that. And I'm going to tell you that it was a 1926 hit from the Count Basie Band. So it really does exist. Yeah.
Carol,
Anyway,
if people want to know the answers to the songs or the names of them, are they posted somewhere?
they are. Just for today, I think. We might wait a couple hours in the morning. Right where you left your ballots, we've got them in one of the regular frames there, and it's the whole list of the song titles, so you can see them there. Or if you can't find them or don't see them, call me, and I'll tell you what they were. It was a lot of fun, and I think we might be planning a holiday named that tune. I hope so, because I had so much fun, but anyway, we'll see. But Boyd, you have another contest coming
There's
up.
another contest going on, right, Boyd?
That's right. There's a Masked Man contest that is started. That's everybody has their ballots, and they're. I think the deadline is today at 5 o'clock, and you're supposed to identify the people behind the masks, and see if I can get it here. We'll take a look at it, see if you recognize any of these people.
Yeah.
You you write your answer
That's yours?
picture and turn them in at the Preston or
Well, just you put that.
Windsor desk, and the winners will be in the event of a tie, and people seem to think there probably will be more than one correct entry. There'll be a drawing live on 1890 this Wednesday at 12:25. So on 1890. So I don't know. Do you recognize all of those people or any of them? I have a little difficulty with a lot of them.
Well,
At any rate, we hope everybody will take part in this contest, and I think it'll be a whoops. Who are you?
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Okay. So.
Hey, speaking of shows, Boyd,
Yes.
go ahead. Don't you have a question about a show?
No, I was going to say about your contest, about the Name That Tune. I heard more than one person say, I didn't enter the contest, but I just enjoyed listening to Carol play. And
Oh,
Good.
so, and I think you had a lot more people watching than turned in ballots. But at any rate, it was a great success, and I hope that this next one will be too. So I had a question from looking at this week's schedule, and I wondered if you all had a favorite movie.
Carol, do you have one?
Well, of course, we have to eliminate an Affair to Remember right off the bat because that's every female's favorite movie. But beyond that, my favorite has always been The Great Escape.
Great Escape?
Yes,
I saw that not long ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was on here.
we see it about every 2 months.
And then the show I liked a lot was with Gary Cooper and Ingrid Bergman called For Whom the Bell Tolls. That was a really
Yeah.
good movie.
Oh yeah, a great Hemingway novel. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, it turns out that there are two on my top 10 list that are going to be shown on 1890 this week, and one of them is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which I think
Oh, I love that.
is a wonderful movie.
There's the one.
George Clooney, I think, and that's going to be on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And then Friday night, we're going to have Casablanca, and that's the top of my list.
Mhm.
So,
Sounds
We'll
good.
be watching.
yeah, so she does a really good job, doesn't she?
Hey, that must be our guest now. There must be two of them. Hey.
good to see you.
Guy and Dory Bush. All right. Hey, folks, how are you?
We're doing great.
Very good. Very.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, one thing that we really want to touch on, you Guy, is you have a painting in the artist gallery here up in the hallway, you know. And the first time I was looking at all the paintings, I was really struck by that painting, and particularly your wonderful title, which is A Well-Balanced Meal. Maybe you can describe the painting and how you went about doing that, and if you thought of that clever title.
Well, I did think of the title, but I took it from this picture here. Can you see that?
Yes.
We were vacationing down at Zihuatanejo in Mexico over Christmas. It was our daughter's 40th
That's right.
birthday, and we were having a good time. And we went down to watch them bring the fish in the nets. And I saw this lady walking away and took her picture. And then when I got back here, I blew up the picture so it looks something like this.
Uh-huh.
And then that year I painted that picture, so it looks something like this.
I
the
love
picture
that.
I'm painting up there.
And that's a well-balanced meal on the top of her head, huh?
It is, it is.
Great,
That was a
great.
good title.
Yeah,
Hey, well, Guy, you used to live on the beach live near the beach on Ipanema in South America, right?
yeah, in Rio de Janeiro. I spent all my teenage years there. So about a block from Ipanema Beach. Had a
Lots of girls, huh?
lot of girls. And I took my wife back there, well, maybe 50 years later. And she can describe that, I think.
Well, we went to the beach. We went to Ipanema Beach. And I was the only female on the beach with a one-piece bathing suit.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah,
So
I
everybody was
remember that very
looking
well.
at you.
I
Yes.
remember it very well.
I bet you remember it well. Yes, uh-huh.
And they had the same kind of string bikinis there when I was a teenager too, which was a thing to remember.
I bet. Well, maybe we shouldn't hear all about it.
Yeah, don't tell us the whole story there, guy.
I don't plan to.
But you could tell us about your first date. How was that?
All right. But we met in Mexico City. Guy was working there for USDA. And my uncle was there as an assistant director to the Rockefeller Foundation in Mexico City. And I decided to go down and visit my aunt and uncle. And a friend traveled with me. My aunt decided we needed dates. So she asked the bachelor from the foundation if he had a friend who was unattached and would be willing to date her niece. And we got together, and Guy and I were about the right size. And
Actually, I was fixed up with Dory's friend,
Yeah.
but when we got together, she was about a half a head taller than I was.
so
So we immediately switched. I got Dory and she got me. And then 2 years later, we got married.
we were married.
Yeah,
Oh, that sounds great.
that's what
And
happened.
what about the trip you took that you were telling us about, that there was something buzzing in the back seat of the car all the time? Or
Yeah.
Well, Dory had never been on a picnic, I don't think, even maybe. She wasn't too much of an outdoor girl then. And when I started graduate school, I had to collect these insects for my research. So we took a 3-month car trip all across the United States and down into Mexico.
Camping, all the
Camping,
way.
we camped all the way and stored the insects. I was collecting the fruit. These insects I worked on infest the fruit, so had to collect the fruit. And so the maggots of these flies were growing in the fruit, and half the time they'd come out of the fruit and were crawling around the floor of the car.
oh,
We
Oh
made
my
it back
God.
okay. She never divorced me. She camped out the whole way. So we did stop a couple of times, stayed in a motel to get cleaned up and reorient ourselves. But anyway, we had a good time, and we've done a lot of camping since then. So
But that
You
was
did some camping you did some camping in Australia too, didn't you?
yeah, we spent 2 years in Australia on a postdoc, and in that 2 years we spent approximately a total of 6 months camping all over Australia.
that was an experience.
That was an experience. You could just roll out your sleeping bag and sleep under the stars. It
Yeah,
was wonderful.
Guy liked to do that.
And every night we carried a bottle of Hennessy 5-Star with us. So every night
Brandy.
we'd pull that out of the car and take a couple of swigs and crawl into our sleeping bags and spend the night under the stars. It was
Wow.
a wonderful experience. It really was. Anyway.
were there insects on that trip or not?
Oh yeah, we spent I always collect insects, and at night I had the car rigged up so I could run ultraviolet lights, and I put these ultraviolet lights up all night in a couple of sheets, and the insects were attracted to the ultraviolet light, and so we'd spend half the night collecting insects off of the sheet, which I'd take back and send to different people that were working on these insects. But that was
Well,
just
guy,
part of the trip.
back then, were there plenty of gas stations in Australia, or how'd you get around?
Well, going across Australia, that was 1,700 miles of dirt road. And
At that time, that was
that time,
1964.
yeah, that was a long time ago. They didn't have too many paved roads in the outback. And it took us about 2 weeks to get across that 1,700 miles. We just stop every so often and collect insects and do some work, and took us a long time. But by the time we got to the end of that dirt road, It took us a long time to get rid of the dirt. We had to take a couple of baths but it was,
And
yeah,
that
there
was
was no
out-
water. There's no water, by the way, either. You could collect it in a few places at that time from stations. There was a station every 100 miles or so. But
Wow.
But
anyway,
we were traveling in a little VW bug. So
A VW?
Well, that sounds right, traveling in the bug with the bugs.
yes, that's right, with the Beatles.
Did you see any kangaroos or other game?
oh, tons of
Yeah.
kangaroos and wombats and just about everything you can imagine. A lot of emus and yeah, it's just.
And the
I don't know whether,
sky.
and a lot of rabbits.
Mm.
A lot of
But
rabbits.
the sky at night was beautiful
It's-
in the
it's
southern
spectacular,
hemisphere.
Oh,
Just
really?
spectacular, right?
Lots of stars. and
Now
everything.
down there, in that, don't you see the north, you see the Aurora Borealis, you don't see the Aurora Borealis, but
Southern Cross.
the Southern Cross, right?
Yeah, you Southern Cross, and you also these two giant Magellanic clouds, which are small galaxies close to ours, and they light up the sky in two spots. They're pretty spectacular. It's a sight everybody ought to see at least once in their life. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
Mm.
That was an experience.
So,
It sounds like it. Sounds like you had a few trial by fire with all the insects, Dory, but evidently you did well and passed that test. I'm not sure I would have, but
I did. And I
well,
learned a lot from when I was a graduate student, I had a job at the Museum of Comparative Zoology at Harvard, and I worked for the curator of insects.
oh,
This was, I mean, this was really something, curating these boxes of insects. But the thing that I remember was most disturbing, I never typed before. I mean, but I had this big Underwood typewriter, and I plunked away with some manuscripts that Dr. Darlington gave me. And then one day he came and said, Mrs. Bush, I worked for him for 4 years and he called me Mrs. Bush the whole time. He was a real New England straight-laced guy. And he said, well, I have a new typewriter for you, a new Smith Corona electric typewriter. And I,
hey,
yeah, things have changed since then.
along, yes, along with camping out, that was
Yeah.
my biggest shock.
that sounds fun. Dory, tell us a little bit about the toy lending library that you told me about that sounded so, and I read this pamphlet that you let me have. Very, really interesting endeavor. What's that about?
Yes, well, this was a program that was developed in Sweden, and the name Lekotech is Swedish. Lek is toy, means toy in Swedish, and tech comes from bibliotek, library. And this was a lending library of toys for children with handicaps, special needs children. And it involved, someone started one in the United States in about 1980 and had workshops on how to set up one of these programs. And my partner, Ruth Wexley, and I went and took the workshops and then came back to Michigan. We were the first Lekotech in Michigan.
Mm.
And it worked, the family would come to us and we talk about the needs of the child and so on. And then once a month, they would come and take toys. Sometimes we had to adapt the toys to special needs children, and then return them the next month for a new set of toys. So it was
That's clever.
Pardon?
I say that's so clever.
Yeah, it was a very, very successful too. We had to go out and get our own money for this and set up thank goodness for United Way. They had a workshop on how to set up an organization. So we learned that we needed a board and so on. And a lawyer, young lawyer on our board, got us a 501c3 accreditation. And so we were off. It was a great success for about 8 years.
We all have been all over the world, and you've been all over Mexico and Australia. What some wonderful memories.
Yeah,
Oh,
we remember it
remember
well.
The
We do.
whole
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
We
well,
enjoyed
had-
the visit.
Yeah,
yes.
we did too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you
Bye.
later. Yep.
Peg here.
Shop video.
That was,
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Just a second here.
Sorry.
Cheryl,
We got
we need to,
Uh-oh, there's the bushes back.
Well, what happened here?
you
Okay.
have to press
I'm
that.
gonna have to just leave, I think.
we want to hear this too. Tell us about the riddle. The answer.
All right, well, very quickly, the riddle, you want to tell them what the riddle was?
Well, remember, the riddle was, a man leaves home and makes 3 left turns, and then he encounters 2 masked men. The answer to the riddle is, who are the 2 masked men, Carol?
You got to think out of the box a little bit. When we say home, there's several different kinds, and I'm thinking of home plate, as in a baseball diamond. So the guy hits a big old ball, he runs to first, he makes a left, he runs to second, makes a left, he runs to third, makes a left, comes skidding into home plate, and guess who's there waiting for him?
2 masked men.
The umpire and
Oh, the catcher.
catcher. Both wearing masks. Oh, is that a groaner or not?
Okay. Have you got another one for next week?
No, not yet.
Okay, well, maybe next time.
Oh, I do know one thing about the 2 hams that walked out of rehab.
No, wait a minute. 2 hams walked out of rehab.
2 hams walked out of rehab, and one of them looks at the other. He says, "Well, how do you feel?"
How do you feel? I don't know. I guess I'm cured.
Oh, good for you. All right, that's it, folks. 1 cured ham.
I thought you were talking about Ken and me. Yeah, 2 hams. Huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
we know hams pretty well.
We'll try to step it up next week a little bit.
do a quick rundown on the calendar. Monday at 7 p.m. on 1890, the Residents Association is going to present Jim Woodrick doing a program on Texas music, and his programs are always good. So be sure and tune in on that tonight for that. Then on Tuesday at, I'm not sure the time, in the morning, I think, there's a program on how ale was made. And I need to watch that to see if the recipe is any better than my granddaddy's recipe for bathtub gin, because I'm going to be making one or the other, I think. And
Boy, you know you can order wine and they'll deliver it here.
really? No, I couldn't do that.
Why not?
Why not?
I don't want anybody to know I drink.
Oh. I don't know, boy, between that one and the hams, maybe, I don't know.
And then Wednesday at 1 p.m., Vince Bove and Roger Iverson will be interviewing new residents on 1890 Meet Your Neighbor, New Neighbor program. So be sure and tune in for that. And then on Friday at from 10 to 3 in the Laurel dining room, the Alzheimer's silent auction is going to take place. So be sure and participate in that. So this has been a great morning, Carol, Ken. It's been fun. It was great to have the Bushes here. I guess next week we'll have some more mystery guests or guests.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery, but we will.
So all of you residents out there, keep those emails coming. We want your ideas, and tune in next Monday at 8:30 here on channel 1890. So until then,
Bye-bye.
stay well. Goodbye, Carol. Goodbye, Ken.
Goodbye, Boyd. Have a good week.
See if I can turn this off now.
Assuming that